Hey Scrabble fans, Will here with another episode of Better Know a Letter. Today we're going to get to know the J. There's only one J in the set of 100 Scrabble tiles, and it's worth a hefty 8 points, placing it alongside the other high point letters in the power category. Like the other high point tiles, the J is an extremely weak bingo tile, appearing in just over 1.5% of 7 and 8 letter words. Every now and then, you might bingo with the J when you draw it alongside a slew of synergistic bingo tiles, but the odds are decidedly against it. The J's synergy with the rest of the alphabet in longer words shows why it's such a subpar bingo tile. The J clashes with many more consonants than it blends well with in bingos, and the vowel that sees the biggest increase in frequency alongside the J is the U, which only appears 4 times in the set. If you're in need of a bingo and draw the J, it's often a good idea to shed it for whatever you can get. You're nearly guaranteed to draw something more useful than the J for bingoing next turn. On the other hand, with an 8-point face value, it's clear that the J is for scoring, not bingoing. But is the J as strong a scoring tile as its high point value would suggest? And how does it stack up against its power tile peers? When assessing whether or not a tile is good for scoring, a good start is to look at the 2-letter words it forms. The J appears in a disappointingly low number of 2s. In the North American Dictionary, Joe is all you'll have to work with. And while Ya is playable in Collins, the Z and especially the X have the J beaten there too. In fact, the overall number of words at any length containing a J is less than the X and significantly less than the Z. Since the J is hard to use in both bingos and 2-letter words, it's not surprising that it's most frequently played in 3, 4, and 5-letter words. When an elite Scrabble AI played itself thousands of times, it used the J as part of a 3, 4, or 5-letter word 77% of the time, by far the highest percentage of any letter in the alphabet. Learning this relatively small set of words will help you use the J like the pros do quickly. When you draw the J, first look for spots that allow you to make parallel plays, which will often score in the 30 to 50 point range. But be wary of holding on to the J in hopes of a spot like this becoming available. Because of its low number of 2-letter words, you aren't very likely to get a perfect spot for the J. In the more frequent event that no parallel plays are available, look for triple letter and triple word squares you can reach with 4 and 5-letter words to boost the J's 8-point face value even further. However, the J has some drawbacks even within the set of 3, 4, and 5-letter words that are best suited for playing it. First, many of your strong scoring plays with the J will give back a similarly strong play to your opponent. Even if you're careful about where you place your J, these counterplays are often unavoidable. But the J has another attribute that really hampers its effectiveness. Take a look at the J's positional trends in the 3 to 5-letter word range. The J has an overwhelming affinity to be the first letter in the words in which it appears. While this information will help you find words with it more efficiently, it also severely caps its effectiveness compared to the X and Z, which are much more evenly distributed in different positions in short words. This evenness makes the X and Z much easier to use. Sometimes the difference between using the J effectively and struggling with it will come down to finding a word with the J in an unusual position. Because there are so few J words where the J isn't the first letter, that won't always be possible. But the words on this list and other similar words will be especially useful to you for this reason. The J's synergy with other tiles in short words isn't pretty. Only a handful of consonants showcase even neutral synergy with the J, and once again, the letter with the strongest affinity for the J compared to its usual appearance rate is the U. Quite simply, the J doesn't really play well with others. Okay, let's recap what we've learned about the J. The J is a terrible bingo tile. Only the Q appears in fewer 7 and 8 letter words. On the other hand, it's a solid scoring tile thanks to its 8-point face value. But the X forms significantly more 2-letter words, the Z forms many more words overall, and both are much more flexible positionally than the J, which is very difficult to use when it's not the first letter of a word. I'm giving the J 2 stars. That might seem harsh for a tile worth 8 points, but the J is nearly fatal for your chances of bingoing and has many more limitations as a scoring tile than the X and Z. When you draw the J, look for spots where you can score heavily with it, but if none exist, try to play it and move on as soon as you can.